The next step is how to get the road commission to allow me to enter into a contract with them. During this process, once I got that appraisals of the 7 signs and that check, I says, now I can switch banks. And I went to Walker Bank in Salt Lake City. And I gave a proposal to pay off the Idaho Bank, give me enough leeway so that I can at least operate halfway decently on the income. There's still plenty of income to pay off the loan. They pay off the Idaho Bank, and the Walker Bank gets behind me. Now, I met with initially Reed Wood. Reed Wood was smart and good. And from Reed Wood, I went to a meeting with Arch Kessler. He was the president of Walker Bank. This was quite a meeting. And I laid out the situation. And my pitch was this: if the banking community sits back and lets the federal government socialize all of the country while you sit back and do nothing except try and further your own interests, you're going to find out, you'll wake up one of these days and we're a socialized nation. And that's just the next step. All socialism is communism without a gun. Now, if I'm willing to go back to Washington and fight for property rights, because every doggone loan you've got in this bank, one way or another, is supported by property rights. Now, what is not is very, very small indeed. He agreed. So I'm helping to preserve property rights, because if they can take a billboard and not pay for it, they can take a chicken coop. If they can take a chicken coop, they can take a house. He agreed. So I'm willing to go back there. And you can't lose, because here's the accounts receivable that'll pay for that loan. But I need enough to at least keep me alive while I'm there, so we can maintain these signs that we've now got. We're not building any new ones. So that the money keeps rolling in, and that therefore you take and protect your own investment in me. To make a long story short, he approved the loan. And I remember as I was getting ready to walk out of the bank, he said, "Mr. Snar, how long do you think it'll take you to do this?" I says, "Well, gosh, I don't have a clue." "Well, give me a figure." "Oh, I don't know, maybe 2 years." Boy, was I green and dumb. I was way off a mile. And then he said this to me: "You know who you are, Doug Snar?" And I says, "Well, I don't know. I've been called a lot of things." "You're a nasty ice cream cone. That's who you are." I'll never forget that. President of the bank, a nasty ice cream cone. But I got the loan. Paid off the Idaho Bank. Terms loosened up. Now I can function. And I am ready to go back to Washington, D.C. But I got to have that contract. They've appraised the signs, but I got to have that contract. Because without that contract, I can't go back to Washington, D.C. I got to have the whole state of Utah behind me, not just 13 sign companies. I got to have the government, the state government, the highway department, everybody has got to be behind me, have got to be behind me. And so with that, the leverage started to get longer and longer. Calls came into the road commission from Senator Moss, The governor put a lot of heat on him. In fact, I think he saved the day. Cal Rampton saved the day for me. As he was that kind of a governor. He just called him up and says, you approve that contract. You approve the contract. Now, I got Bob Wright, who tragically died of Alzheimer's a few years ago, to be my attorney. Bob Wright was a consummate litigator. He's the kind of a guy you don't want to get in an argument with because you're going to lose. So I particularly got him. Now, the reason I chose him was because before the bank agreed to loan me the money and pay off the Idaho Bank, they put my proposal in the hands of Bob Wright, the attorney, who was the bank's attorney, and he turned it down. So once they told me, well, we can't do it. They turned me down. And Jim Hill and Reed Wood, those two had come together, both loan officers, and said, because our legal team said no. What's his name? Bob Wright. Where's his office? Upstairs. So I go to Bob Wright, take him to lunch. He changes his mind and calls him and says, that contract's good. Mr. Snar's right. Back him up. He'll be just fine. You're not going to lose any money on him. And so they did. Bob ran for governor against Matheson. I'm convinced if he had had a week earlier, he'd have won. He was ahead, but then Matheson came ahead and won that election, being governor. But Bob was a Republican. Now, I think I want to, if I got time for a poem, how much time? It's called The Psalm of Life, and by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, American poet. It's one of my favorite poems. It's really, psalm is another word for I could use vicissitudes, the vicissitudes of life. Tell me not in mournful numbers, life is but an empty dream, and the soul is dead that slumbers, and things are not what they seem. Life is real. Life is earnest, and the grave is not its goal. Dust thou art, to dust returnest, was not spoken of the soul. Not joy nor sorrow is our destined end or way, but to act, that each tomorrow find us farther than today. Art is long, time is fleeting, and our hearts, though stout and brave, still, like muffled drums, are beating funeral marches to the grave. In the world's broad field of battle, in the bivouac of life, be not like dumb, driven cattle. Be a hero in the strife. Trust no future, however pleasant. Let the dead past bury its dead. Act in the living present, heart within, and God overhead. Lives of great men all remind us that we can make our lives sublime, and departing, leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. Footprints footprints that perhaps another, sailing over life's solemn main, a forlorn or shipwrecked brother, seeing the footsteps, shall take heart again. Let us then be up and doing, with a heart for any fate, still achieving, still pursuing. Learn to labor and to wait. Thank you.